Welcome everybody to today's Ninja Skill Booster, how to love your inbox. It's nice to see so many people dialing in and joining us today. My name is Ninja Matt and I will give you all my contact details shortly. I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands that we are all coming from this morning here in Australia, and anyone else from around the world, welcome. I'm coming to you from Guringai country, the northern beaches of Sydney. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians here for their care and stewardship of our lands, water, air, sea, culture for many, many thousands of years. So welcome everyone. Today is all about loving our inbox, a big topic and a very popular topic. We could tell by the number of registrations we had for today's session that, and we know from all the work we do, that this is such a big area for us to all improve in. And if we can improve in this area, it definitely helps reduce our stress. And as many of you know, reducing stress is a big part of what we do at Think Productive through our productivity training and our leadership training. I do also want to just put on the table this morning that it's a very stressful time in many of our lives. It's a very stressful time in Australia with what we've been through with the referendum recently for many people. It's a very stressful time in many parts of the world with different conflict, and the stress level in our community and in our hearts and our souls is quite high for many of us. So be kind to yourselves at the moment, everyone. And I know a lot of people come to these sessions to reconnect with us because you've done our ninja training before. So I wanted to give love to all of the people that have done our training before and all the new people here this morning. Be kind to ourselves in what is a very stressful time. So today is all about our inbox. Here are my contact details for you. You're very welcome to get in touch with me at any stage. I'm the owner of Think Productive here in Australia, for those of you that don't know that. Think Productive Australia is, or Australia, New Zealand. Welcome to the Kiwis, Australia, New Zealand. Think Productive Australia, New Zealand is part of our global business, Think Productive, founded by Graham Alcott, who wrote this book, How to Be a Productivity Ninja. And what we're all about here, or all about all around the world, is creating a work revolution where everyone loves Mondays. So that's our goal, that's our mission, that's what gets us out of bed in the morning. So once again, welcome. These Ninja Skill Boosters are 30-minute sessions to support our Ninja Clan, as we like to call it, as we like to call you, our Ninja community of past, present, and future ninjas. And I was just putting some thoughts down around what we like to achieve in these 30 minutes. We like to achieve connection, provide as much information as we can in these short sessions. Motivation, part of the feedback we've had from these sessions is that they're very motivating. People come along for their monthly motivation boost, question and answer at the end, and any ninja updates we might have, any news or events to share with you. So today is all about emails. Some of the content comes from our Getting Your Inbox to Zero workshop that many of you have already done. And today we'll provide some really useful information to get you started on this journey of stress-free emailing. So today we're covering putting emails in their place. I'm going to share a few slides around just how to think about emails. As you know, a lot of the thinking at Think Productive is getting into the work and the systems, but psychology before technology. Let's do the thinking first. Let's think about our habits, our addictions to our inboxes, if you like. And some top tips so you can love your inbox. All right, 5 top tips for you. So in the chat box, I would love you first, please, to put a few words. It doesn't have to just be 1 or 2, but how do you feel about emails? How's email affecting your work and your well-being?
Yeah, it's like disconnected, ready to bear.
Getting distracted, overwhelmed, yes, burdened, never ending. Just change your setting to everyone if you can, please, so everyone gets to see your comments, not just our hosts and panelists. Distracted, disorganized, scary. They're always coming. People often describe it as like a fire hose. One of the first things I look at when I wake up. Yes, well, we can work on that. Unnecessary, often they are. Constant, useful. Yes, Barbara, interesting comment there. Some people say, I love emails, I can't live without them. And that's probably the interesting point here, isn't it? We sort of hate them, but we need them as well. can be particularly frustrating. Can be frustrating, particularly when people share documents in them rather than using SharePoint. Yes, getting into those thoughts around emails are just one part of our communication matrix, if you like. All right, a point in the butt, I assume, Peter. Thank you for that. All right. So why we often hate emails? Because they're a source of distraction. They really are a source of constant and major distraction. This data is a little bit out of date, so we could probably multiply all this by at least 20 or 30% and include Microsoft Teams in here. But we're receiving so many pieces of communication and information every day, more than what we're sending. We're often getting so much more coming in than what we send. But one of the key things on this slide is we're spending about 40% of our day just doing email. Now that's part of our work, but it's really just communication. So if we're spending 40% of our day just doing communication, we're not getting stuck into what really matters. So what we want to be thinking about is how can we just get that processing of the emails done as quickly as we can so we can actually get on with our real work, if you like, our thinking, our value adding. How many emails are being sent per day? You can see this is just on a constant growth, this research from the Radicati group. It's just growing and growing and growing. I know hundreds of billions of numbers don't really mean anything to us, but we can see that emails are not going away. So do you want to be smarter? When we think about our emails and the effect that it's having on our ability to think, our ability to be smart, I often wish I was just a little bit smarter. That'd be nice. So if we're letting ourselves get distracted by email, we're actually letting ourselves reduce our IQ. So this study was done in King's College London, where they had 3 groups doing an IQ test. The first group, they just kept going, doing the test. The second group gave them some email distractions, the pop up on the screen, the ding, the noises, distractions from emails coming in. They had a 10-point drop in their IQ. The third group controversially smoked marijuana. They had a 4-point drop in their IQ, right? So what you can see here is if we're letting ourselves get distracted by email, we are letting ourselves not be as smart as we possibly could be. So this is thinking about our distraction caused by email, the notifications, letting ourselves jump and multitask every time something pops into the screen. So email is one of the sources of interruptions. We like to think of it as the primary source of interruptions. It's interrupting us from what we're trying to focus on. This is often leading us also into inefficient, long-winded communication trails. We're backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, and people using reply all is often something that's complained about. What's happening here, the result of this is lack of focus, more stress, more overwhelm. Right. So it's if we're letting this happen to us, and we are letting this happen to us if we've got all our notifications turned on, it's causing less effectiveness. And what we want to think about is how do we improve our effectiveness so we focus on what matters, get more of the right things done, reduce our stress, feel more fulfilled by our work. And also thinking back to my initial comments about reducing our stress, being able to then leave work at work or in the office or on the laptop when we close it, if we're working from home, leave it there so we can then go and enjoy our lives as well. So I'd love you to have a think about how many times a day are you actually checking your email, do you think? And I'm going to launch a poll for this one, just to think. I'd love to know, this is an anonymous poll. How many times a day do you check your emails? Is it always on? Is it maybe 10 plus times? Is it 5 to 10 times a day, maybe once an hour or so? Is it only 1 to 5 times a day? How often are you checking your emails? All right. 3 seconds to answer the question. All right, thanks everybody. I'll end the poll and share the results. Quite insightful. 74% saying that emails are always on. So if our emails are always on, well, we've got some super ninjas with us down in the 1 to 5 times, but we can see most of us are saying it's always on. This is a good moment to reflect and a good moment to think, like, how much distraction is this causing us? So the encouragement here, when I get into the top 5 tips, The encouragement is definitely going to be to shut that down occasionally. All right, let's keep going. I know I'm going quite fast this morning, but we want to give you a lot of content in these 30 minutes. Let me just check the chat. Thanks, Inca. Always on in the background with notifications and alerts. Then I choose what to respond to. Yeah, that's what most people are doing. And this choice about what to respond to is, with respect, causing distraction, taking us away from what we might be trying to focus on in that moment. So when we get on top of our emails, when we can control our emails better, it increases our attention, increases our focus. We get more clarity, we reduce our stress, we can really just stay in the zone, stay in flow. We get more efficient, we get more done. So let's get into the tips for you. Top 5 tips, how to love your inbox. Now, as I mentioned, some of this is coming from our Inbox to Zero workshop. Some of it is just summarizing that content for today. So number 1, don't overplay it. Don't overplay the importance of email. It's just one form of communication. It's just a form of communication, if you like. So when we're using email, get in there, do what we need to do, and then put it aside. Within this tip, so what we're doing with these 5 tips today is giving you the tip and then just a little bit more meat, if you like, within that. So within this tip around email being just a form of communication, this slide comes from our Supercharge Your Team Comms workshop. But be careful with your email etiquette. Practice great email etiquette. Every piece of your communication is a step towards or away from your outcome. So I love this idea. Every email we send and every Teams chat, every SMS, it's a step towards or away from our outcome. So make it count, make it clear, make it concise. So practice great email etiquette. One of the most important things in email etiquette is having a good subject line, right? Have a good subject line. Make sure that the subject makes sense to the recipient. There's a comment here from Bridget just to me. Thanks, Bridget. Email is very important in my role. I have no choice but to have it on always. Yeah, okay, Bridget, I totally agree. For some of us, we do have to have our email on all the time. I get it. So with all our ninja training, it's around making the information that we're sharing suit you, suit your style, suit your role. Yeah, so ninja tip number 2, turn off the emails and the notifications. Well, how do we even turn off the emails? That's an interesting thought. And the notifications. So don't you love this slide? Oh, this beautiful slide, this beautiful image comes from our Inbox to Zero workshop, and it just shows what the peace can feel like when we turn off the notifications. So you can do that in Outlook, you can do it in Gmail. Another thing about turning off emails is still in tip number 2 here, thinking about our ninja characteristic of stealth and camouflage. Turn our Outlook offline. So if we're using the desktop version of Outlook, if we've downloaded Outlook to our computer, and you can do this in Gmail as well, it's just a little bit more tricky, but you can even set Gmail to work offline. Under the send receive menu in Outlook is the work offline button. This means we can still be using Outlook, but it's offline. So we can be going in there, getting out the information we need. We can even be writing emails in there, but we won't be seeing any new emails come in. To me, this is a game changer. This is like, I've closed the door to the office. All the emails are waiting outside. And they're waiting till I'm ready. Imagine if all those emails were coming in now and standing here beside me and you could see them all, how distracting that would be, even now. So this is where work offline is so helpful. So have a think about that one. You might go offline for half an hour, 1 hour. You might start with 15 minutes, just see how it feels. The other part of stealth and camouflage, a little bit off topic for emails, but back to our productivity ninja thoughts. Turn our phones off, put our phones on do not disturb or flight mode. We can even use a timer, like the Pomodoro technique that many of you have heard us talk about. Set a timer. That's a timer called Forest, just a cute little app for the phone. But set a timer so that we can really, get focused in the zone. Tip number 3, now I'm just going to have a look at the chat again. Emails required to respond to urgent needs of the team. Yeah, interesting, Barbara. Thank you for that comment. Often it's good to have an agreement with the team around what to do when something is urgent. We normally like to encourage teams to have that conversation as part of our Supercharge Your Teams workshop, to agree what to do when something is urgent. If it is actually urgent, maybe they should be calling you, or maybe they should be sending you a Teams chat so that we can have our emails not constantly flashing in our face. And Milena's said, disagree. This is only if your role depends on the urgent email response you're waiting for. Yeah, so it all depends on what our role is, as to how we have to approach these things. So tip number 3, which relates to what I've been sharing, our email ninja mindset is to process, not check. So instead of constantly checking, we want to process our emails. This means going into our inbox and clearing it out. So we've processed them all. Then we can turn it offline or turn it off. Okay, so it's an interesting way to think about this. Stop constantly checking. This is a shift. This is the growth point, if you like, out of today's session, I believe, for many of us. This is the thing to think about. Could I practice with this? Could I play with this? And building on this, we like to talk about the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle when it comes to emails. Most of our emails don't require an action. They can just be deleted or filed. Most of the emails we send, aren't really creating a major change. So 20% of our emails are producing 80% of our results. Look, these are just, made up numbers, if you like, but it's the Pareto principle. It's what Pareto identified. So don't assume we have to reply to emails. We can often just file or delete them. So this is just getting back to this thought that emails are just one form of communication. All right. I know I'm going quite fast here. I hope this is okay for you all. Samantha says, I find Teams chats more distracting and the messages get lost in amongst so many teams. Yeah, Teams is even harder to manage. In February next year, thanks for that, Samantha. Thanks for the prompt. In February next year, we're launching a workshop around using Microsoft as a ninja, which is going to be not just emails, all our Microsoft tools, or the most common Microsoft tools, and how to ninjafy our approach to Teams, emails, SharePoint, all these kind of things. Oh, thanks, Jason, for that comment, the GTD approach. Yes, you will see here that we've got our 3 folders that are fairly similar to that as well. So tip number 4. Don't do email on your mobile. Don't you love this image? If we're doing email on our mobile, we are constantly checking. It's often harder to file. This is why we're reading emails over and over and over again, rather than actually doing something with them. So don't check email on your mobile, unless you have to, right? Unless you really have to. Having emails on our mobile is feeding into that addiction that our mobile phones are already pausing for us. They're designed to be addictive. If we've got the email on there as well, it's just multiplying that effect. So have a think. Do you really need your emails on your mobile phone? Something else to just consider as you think about your ninja skills. Tip number 5, triage to 0. Now, this may not happen every time you look at your emails during the day, every time you process your emails during the day. This is what the perfect ninja would do. But as you know, what we like to share, we're human, not superhero. There is no such thing as a perfect ninja. But maybe triage to 0 once a day. Maybe at the end of the day, it's a nice feeling. So I'm going to share with you how to do this. This is the nuts and the bolts, if you like, of our email process. We set up some folders. They all have the @ sign at the front. So we're using a folder system for managing our emails. These are pretty straightforward. We go through these in a lot of detail in our Inbox to 0 workshop. But at action, emails we need to come back to and do something with. At reading, emails I want to read later. At waiting, emails where I'm waiting for someone else to do something, but it's nothing for me to do at the moment. These are 3 folders, 3 ways we can triage our emails out of our inbox. I also recommend, or we also recommend, another folder called @email-tic, or @done, or @completed, which is a folder for dumping all the emails when we're finished with them. One of the biggest pieces of friction in our email management is having too many subfolders. Most inboxes we see when we run our Inbox to 0 workshop have more than 50 subfolders, sometimes hundreds, and lots of subfolders, and they're making it harder to file. They're often making it harder to find emails. We can just be using search instead. So these folders make a big difference. The other part of this processing of emails is if it's something that can be done in less than 2 minutes, the 2-minute rule, do it on the spot. A quick response, send someone a file, an answer, a yes or a no, an attachment, a quick answer to a question, do it on the spot. So when we're triaging our emails, that's what we're doing. If we're doing it on the spot, just a quick one. Otherwise, it goes in these folders. The reading folder for me, just a bit of human, not superhero here. The reading folder for me is kind of like a pile of magazines in the corner that I don't normally read, but they're there if I need them, if I want them, if I'm waiting for an aeroplane or something, or sitting at a train station. Whereas if it's an email I have to read, it's just a little bit long for my brain at the moment. I haven't got the attention span at the moment. I put that in the action folder. Like if it's an important email for me to read, that goes in my action folder. So I just have that little shift in the process, if you like, which is what we recommend for our email ideas and our ninja ideas. Make them work for you. Make them work for you. So starting to wrap up, I'm open to any questions. If you'd like to put them in the chat, I will have a look at that. Restricting the use of mobiles when traveling. Yeah, nice one, Bradley. Thank you. Bridget's saying a subfolder for each of the teachers. Some emails are too important to not keep. Yeah, so definitely we recommend keeping a lot of emails. We're not trying to reduce storage size here, but it's just not keeping them in the inbox, having an easy way to keep them. Yes, Bridget, and you might need a subfolder for each of your teachers. Some people like to have a subfolder for each of their clients or customers, but it does depend on your role and if you really, really need that. The key thing here is to think, is this adding value? Is this extra filing of lots and lots of subfolders adding value? Leonie has a question, what's in the waiting file? Yeah, thanks, Leonie. I mentioned that, but only very quickly. What's in the waiting file is an email that we might be waiting for someone else to do something about. So there's no action for us yet, but it's just a reminder that we might be waiting for someone else. So in our Inbox to Zero workshop, we've got a whole process around how to set up a rule to automatically file emails in there when you prompt it to. You can also just be dragging emails in there when required. So yeah. All right, lots of comments and questions coming in here. Thanks, everybody. I'm just going to wrap up with the content and then answer all your questions because that might take us slightly over time. So just in summary, what we've covered today, we've put emails in their place. Like we've thought about, they're just one form of communication, okay? Just let's not overplay that. Let's get it stuck into what matters. Let's get stuck into adding value. And our top 5 tips there. I won't read through all those. You can see all those there. They're the 5 things that are going to start making a difference. With 74% of us, I think it was, having our emails always on. Hopefully this is going to start to create some change for all of us today. If you want to go deeper, read chapter 4 of the Productivity Ninja book. Many of you have got that as a result of doing our workshops. If you haven't got the book, you can buy that anywhere. Chapter 4 in the book is all about emails. Now, we do have a giveaway today. We always like to give away a prize. I'll do that after I stop the recording so we don't have that captured on YouTube forever. Just a quick reminder that we've launched some fantastic new leadership workshops this year. They've been really popular in 2023. Delegation, project management, influencing and persuading, coaching to empower. We need to talk all about feedback, emotional intelligence, some really beautiful, deep, mindful leadership workshops that have been popular this year. So just a reminder for you all that we're not just the productivity ninja stuff that many of you have already done. So get in touch if you want to look at those. All the details are on the website anyway. If you want to chat, please get in touch with me directly. You're very welcome to flick me an email or contact us via our website. And that has been How to Love Your Inbox, our Ninja Skill Booster. Now, I'll answer some of these questions. Let's have a look at the questions now, and then I'll stop the recording and do the giveaway. So let me have a look. Oh, lots of questions here. Let me just have a look at these. Will you be doing Inbox to Zero before the end of the year? Not currently planned, Karen, but it's an interesting prompt. If you'd like us to do Inbox to Zero before the end of the year as a public workshop, send me an email, let me know. We can always schedule one. Most of our work is running workshops for our what we call our in-house clients, going into companies and running the workshops in the business. But as you know, we do some public workshops as well. So yeah, I'll think about that one, Karen. Send me an email. I'll go back to my email. If anyone wants to do the Inbox to Zero public workshop before the end of the year, let me know. Even let me know when you'd like to do it. How do you deal with it when you have too many emails? I see just transferring from my unread inbox to the at folders. When you have too many emails, Bradley, that's a great question. Hacking, just be bold, take the axe to them, get rid of lots of them. Take the approach that if they're probably older than 4 or 6 weeks, does it really matter? Just get rid of them, put them in the attic. And Mark says the action folder can just become like a new inbox, can't clear it. Yeah, it can be, Mark, but it's nice to have 30. Even if you've got 30 or 40 emails in that action folder, it's still better than having 5,000 just sitting in the inbox. You've still triaged them to what matters. If that is overwhelming, now I'm going against the rules here. If that is overwhelming, I recommend setting up a temporary folder, which might be action today. And you just go into those 30 or 40, 50 emails in the action folder and choose the 5 or 10 that you really have to do today. It's all just prioritization, right? So you can do that if you need to, if that action folder is feeling overwhelming. We also need to be realistic. Are you really going to action them all? Subfolders are invaluable because the search function is terrible. Interesting, Catherine. The search function in Outlook is frustrating for many people, but it's actually pretty good. Maybe watch a couple of YouTube videos on how to use that better. When to unsubscribe to newsletters if you're not reading them, Peter. Unsubscribe to them, or if they're not valuable. Like our newsletter always tells you about the upcoming events and things and has some valuable ninja tips. But if you're not reading it, delete it, or unsubscribe, or have a rule that puts them in a folder. Bridget, you'd like to have an invite for Inbox to Zero Ninja, please? Yeah, just send me an email, Bridget, and I'll set up one of those if there's interest before the end of the year. Before the end of the year is getting a bit of a rush. All right, thank you, everyone. I'm not seeing any more questions there. Maybe a couple. I'm just going to stop the recording and do our giveaway before you all leave.